Against all odds. This is a story of how we changed our lives and found passion as Caribbean nomads. It's a simple story. Boy meets girl, or in our case, girl finds boy. And together, in a leap of faith, they become two on a boat. It's been 5 years since Tina and I shared our first sailing adventure in the BVI. Our first vacation together, and she dubbed us two on a boat. COVID was not yet a thing, and travel to the BVI was easy, fun, and included a stopover in St. Martin in both directions. We were off on a 10-day sailing charter in the BVI. We leapfrogged to the BVI by way of a stay at the Boon, Mary's Boon that is, a boutique hotel in St. Martin, a paradise within a paradise. It was a perfect place to begin and end an adventure. Tina was worried about seasickness. Having been a charter captain in the BVI back in the 80s, I was confident that the calm waters in the BVI would not see Tina get seasick. Just come, sail off into the sunset. It will be grand, I said. You won't get sick, I promise. Win Air is the transport for the final leg to the BVI. Tina, who is a very experienced holiday traveler, had never flown on such a small plane. I'm sure thoughts of, do I have to get into that, were on her mind. In the end, it was just another adventure she took in stride. We chose to charter a 38-foot monohull with the moorings. Their base in Roadtown had grown over the years to include the dock. I had kept my charter yacht on all those years ago. It was old home week for me. As two on a boat, we just clicked. And it was grand. We made a whirlwind of fantastic memories. We had found our paradise together. We hit all the hot spots. Cooper Island with its eco-resort, great food, and rum bar. We climbed through the baths on Virgin Gorda. We snorkeled at the Indians. Boutique shopped and cocktailed at Pusser's Rum in both the West End and Cane Garden Bay. We stumbled upon a local bistro in Spanish Town and had a delightful evening. We slipped away to the quiet of the backside of Peter Island. And of course, Foxy's on Yost was the scene of a few cocktails. The pour-your-own drinks at a tiny family joint was perhaps Tina's favorite local experience. We discovered old friends from my charter years who now owned a gourmet Caribbean restaurant in Cane Garden Bay. Tina took to helming the boat like a pro. She handily docked the boat into the West End like she'd done it 100 times. She learned to tack, jibe, hold a course, anchor, nudge up to a mooring, and she wasn't above racing another yacht to get the last open mooring. It was a jam-packed week of fun and adventure. So much fun that we booked a boat for the whole month of December that same year. This time we would sail a 44-foot monohull. We would again cruise the BVI, again leapfrogging at the Boon as we transited through St. Martin. A month-long adventure, a primer for living aboard. I was hoping to pop the question. Not that question, I'd already done that. Took each day as it came, a little sail here, a short sail there, anchor for a day or two. We sailed around Tortola 3 times. That's the magic of the BVI. Short, smooth sails, or epic around Tortola Marathon, if that's your mood. For 3 weeks we sailed, swam, buried our toes in the sand, floated, snorkeled, laughed, and loved. We loved the beaches, the solitude, the sailing, the sunrises, and the sunsets. But most of all, we loved each other. Our daughter Jen joined us for the last week over Christmas and New Year's, and all of us together had a truly magical adventure. We explored all the natural wonders of the BVI with her. We visited Cooper Island Resort and Restaurant more than once, explored the baths, floated in Cane Garden Bay, had smoky barbecue at a roadside stand, collected shells at Peter Island. The weather cooperated for the 12-mile open water sail to Anegada. We rented a car for the day and toured the island. We visited places, us 3 on a boat, that I had not in a decade of sailing as captain in the BVI seen. So just how do 40 days and 40 nights aboard a boat become a dramatic life change and a full-time adventure? Well, that's a story in itself. Following are the milestones in that adventure that culminated into the bigger adventure of becoming Caribbean nomads. Our 40 days of sailing with Tina had awakened the addiction, and there was no quelling the desire. Enough of being landlocked. The water was calling me. Tina is a born adventurer, bold enough to travel the world alone, camera in hand. She had just completed a year-long Western North American RV tour. Sailing was her new adventure, offering freedom she had never experienced before. Between shoveling the snow of a Canadian winter, having to bundle up against the cold, wearing a respirator at work for more hours of the day than not, the fuse for change in our lives had been lit, and it was burning furiously. Spring of 2020, COVID became a thing. Everyone was restless, but none as restless as Tina and I. Our tans were fading, but not our memories. Espresso martinis, a romantic evening on our hideaway deck, chatting about beaches and boats, I popped the question. Would you live on a boat and sail away with me? I'm sure that's a yes. Our first charter boat was a 38-foot monohull, and we agreed that we could both live on that size of boat. So that became the minimum length on our list as we online shopped. We had zeroed in on a Schoening 44 catamaran for sale in the Philippines. With an accepted offer in hand, we discovered that there was no way to get there, not to view the boat, much less to move aboard. We investigated delivery by freighter as we found a cat in Martinique and another in South Africa. But delivery where? So boats for sale became boats for sale that we could actually get to. We found a 38-foot monohull in Grenada. As luck would have it, a friend owned a boat anchored not a mile from it, and he handily agreed to do an inspection for us. So we had a boat on our list and someone to inspect it. Excited, we spent the weekend dreaming, planning, and poring over ads for boats, as we would only get one kick at the can. It was our 100-day plan. Travel was becoming more restricted as COVID continued to spread across the world. We couldn't globetrot viewing boats. Monday, things got real. 100 days became 60. I mean, there was a boat waiting for us somewhere. Last day of work would be in 60 days, July 31st. I was in the habit of leaving a note to Tina when I left for work at 4:30 a.m. They were gushing with the promise of adventure. Air Canada was showing flights to Grenada from Toronto once a week. There was a mountain of things to do to execute our great escape. Number one was to find and buy a boat. We again considered the 38 for sale there. Grenada was looking like the choice of choices. Our friend did a survey for us. It was very well maintained and checked all our boxes. On day 68, we had an accepted offer on the boat, and on the 24th of August, 84 days after the great escape plan was hatched, we owned a boat in Grenada. Live the dream. A Bavaria 38 was officially ours. The universe had even brought us the perfect name. Air Canada kept canceling flights to Grenada. We finally got booked for October 4th. With the house sold and in preparation for departure, we went to stay in a hotel in Vancouver for a few days before. 12 duffel bags, 2 dogs loaded into our SUV and a rental minivan, off to start our adventure. Departure went sideways when a negative COVID test confirmation didn't arrive in time to board the flight. A week later, with a negative COVID test in hand, October 11th, the last flight from Toronto to Grenada, we just made it. We boarded our flight from Vancouver via Toronto to Grenada. By 4 p.m. October 12th, we were quarantined in a cottage by the beach, our home for the next 7 days, while we got tested for COVID again and awaited results. COVID negative and free to move about Grenada, approximately 2.5 months after executing the 60-day plan, we got to step aboard our new home. Now living aboard 3.5 years, a full 5 years this April 9th since our first sail together. We cherish each and every single day, smiling at the sunset and declaring we live here, wherever here happens to be. Grenada, Carriacou, Martinique, Bequia, Union Island, Canouan, the Grenadines, the BVI, all ports of call we have been blessed to call home for a while. Tina has become an excellent navigator. Her sense of adventure continues to blossom. When things go sideways at sea, she's a steadfast partner. She made her first sailing trip as an adventurer. She is now a sailor and becoming a voyager. It's near impossible to pick a favorite place, but the color of the sea in Clifton Union Island is postcard perfect. The Tobago Cays National Park is beautiful beyond compare. Bequia is the quintessential Caribbean. Brightly painted houses dotting the harbor hillsides, lively, friendly bars and shops, beautiful beaches. The quaintness of French Island seaside towns is like visiting a bygone era, and the BVI with its sheltered sailing and hundreds of anchorages will forever be our paradise. We have seen the wind howl as tropical storms pass near and brush volcanic dust off the decks when St. Vincent's volcano erupted. Climbed through the rock formations of the Baz and Virgin Gorda. Enjoyed the full moon illuminating the bottom of a crystal clear bay. Stargazing at a billion stars on a moonless night. Watching meteor showers. Tina's first night sail. The pitons of St. Lucia. Bequia's floating bar. The joy of swimming with turtles and seeing more starfish than you can count. Savoring the scents of blooming island flowers. Seeing a pod of pilot whales. Pastries from French bakeries. Finding a swing on a beach. Enjoying a quiet paddle. Being queen of your own island. Finding the last bar before the jungle. Being hypnotized by the waves. Swimming with your puppers. The thrill of a high-speed dinghy ride. The joy of a deserted anchorage. A little beachside free Wi-Fi. Entertaining the kids next door. Being humbled by seeing how the rich take their yachts to the Med. Our daughter has visited the Carib for a second time, her first time on our boat, making even more memories afloat. There are milestones to celebrate. James turned 65, now officially a senior sailor. Tina is about to complete her 51st trip around the sun. We adopted a coconut hound, so it's 3 on a boat if counting puppers. It's not all fair winds and following seas. Tina's lungs suffer when the Sahara dust fills the Caribbean basin. So quiet days, cocooned aboard the boat, cooled by our awning, is what's called for therapy. As she's quick to point out, it's a much better place to be short of breath than the smoke-filled mountains of BC. The journey is made so much richer by the people you meet from all corners of the globe. Cruisers who share their stories of adventure. Sea stories that create memories you smile about long after you have weighed anchor and sailed on. A whole new life awaits anyone who, against all odds, decides today is the first day of their new life.